The city held its breath as if anticipating something dreadful. A blanket of fog shrouded the streets, muffling the usual city symphony. The air was thick with tension, every corner hiding a potential threat. It was the kind of night where secrets whispered on the wind, and shadows seemed to come alive, dancing in the dim light. Detective John Riley stared out of his window, his reflection a ghost in the neon-lit darkness. The city below was a maze of lights and shadows, each hiding its own story. A file lay open on his desk, its stark white a harsh contrast to the gloom of his apartment. The contents were a grim reminder of the past. The name on the file, barely visible in the dim lamplight, sent a shiver down his spine. The Echo Killer, a name that had haunted him for years, a ghost from the past, returned to haunt him. 10 years, 10 long years of silence, broken only by the occasional nightmare. 10 years since the city had last trembled in fear of the Echo Killer. The memories were still fresh, the wounds still raw. 10 years since the murders had abruptly stopped, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a city scarred by terror. The case files were a testament to the horror that had once gripped the city. The case had remained unsolved, a dark stain on the city's soul, and on Riley's conscience. It was a burden he carried every day. He had been a rookie then, eager to prove himself. He had failed. The weight of that failure had shaped him, driven him. Now the killer was back, and this time, Riley was determined to not let the shadows win. He would face the darkness head-on, and this time, he would not fail. John Riley was a man haunted by his past. The unsolved case of the Echo Killer had gnawed at him, fueling his dedication to his job, yet slowly chipping away at his spirit. His colleagues knew him as a relentless pursuer of justice, a man who could piece together the most complex puzzles with an almost unsettling clarity, but they didn't see the toll it took, the sleepless nights, the way his eyes seemed to hold the city's darkness within them. He ran a hand through his graying hair, the weight of the city and the case pressing down on him. The victims had all been seemingly random, different ages, backgrounds, lives, but they were connected by the killer's chilling calling card. A single, white feather left at each crime scene, a symbol as pure as it was sinister. As Riley delved back into the case, he knew he wasn't just facing a killer, but also his own demons. This time, he wouldn't let them win. The first murder sent a shockwave through the city. The victim, a young artist, found in her studio a single white feather resting on her easel. The modus operandi was eerily familiar, sending chills down the spines of those who remembered the Echo Killer's reign of terror a decade ago. Riley stood over the crime scene, the air thick with the smell of fear and death. He shut out the murmurings of his team, his eyes scanning the studio, searching for any detail, any whisper left behind by the phantom. The feather was identical to the ones found at the original crime scenes. It was a message, a chilling echo of the past. The killer was playing with them, taunting them. The killer knew this city, knew its secrets, its vulnerabilities, knew Riley's. This wasn't just about catching a killer. It was about preventing history from repeating itself. And this time, Riley swore, the ending would be different. Days bled into nights, the city never truly sleeping. Riley and his team worked tirelessly, chasing shadows and following leads that seemed promising but often led nowhere. Each witness interview, each piece of evidence analyzed, every dead end, only deepened the mystery, making the case more complex. The killer moved like a phantom, leaving no trace, no clues, no fingerprints, no DNA. It was as if they were invisible, a ghost in the night. It was as if they were chasing a ghost. The pressure mounted, the weight of expectations growing heavier. The city held its breath, fear simmering beneath the surface, as the media had a field day. The headlines screaming about the return of the Echo Killer, their every move scrutinized, their every failure magnified. The media had a field day, the headlines screaming about the return of the Echo Killer, their every move scrutinized, their every failure magnified. Riley felt the frustration building, the weight of the unsolved case growing heavier with each passing day. He was missing something, the weight of the unsolved case growing heavier with each passing day. He was missing something, a crucial piece of the puzzle. A connection, a link. The killer was meticulous, almost too careful, as if they wanted to be found. It was as if they wanted to be found, but only on their terms, playing a twisted game of cat and mouse, but only on their terms. Riley stared at the evidence board, Riley stared at the evidence board, his eyes scanning the photos, the reports, the dead ends, the reports, the dead ends. There in the chaos he saw it, a tiny detail easily overlooked. There in the chaos he saw it, a tiny detail easily overlooked, but one that held the key to unlocking the mystery. A breakthrough that could finally bring the Echo Killer to justice. It was a seemingly insignificant detail, a witness's offhand comment about a man in a dark coat always seen near the crime scenes. But to Riley, it was a beacon in the darkness. He pulled up security footage from each location, painstakingly scrubbing through hours of recordings. And then he saw him. The man in the dark coat, his face obscured but his presence a constant, lurking in the background, a specter haunting the edges of the frame. He was always there but never close enough to be clearly identified. But Riley could feel it, sense it. This was their ghost, their echo. He showed the footage to his partner, Detective Sarah Jones, her brow furrowing as she recognized the pattern, the deliberate avoidance, the chilling precision. They had a face, a ghost in the machine. The hunt was on. The identification of the man in the coat led them to a name, Edward Crane, a recluse, a ghost in his own right, living on the fringes of society. He was a man who had mastered the art of disappearing, leaving behind only whispers and shadows. As Riley delved into Crane's past, a sense of unease settled over him. The deeper he went, the more he felt the weight of Crane's elusive presence. Crane was a phantom, practically erased from existence, his past shrouded in mystery. Every lead seemed to dissolve into thin air, leaving Riley grasping at straws. The deeper Riley dug, the more convinced he became. This was their echo. But something didn't sit right with him. But Crane was too obvious, too easy. It felt like a trap, a red herring designed to mislead them. The Echo Killer thrived on chaos, on the theatricality of fear. He was a master of deception, always one step ahead. This felt staged, a carefully crafted facade. Riley knew he had to look beyond the obvious, to see the truth hidden in plain sight. Riley went back to the beginning, to the victims, to the seemingly random pattern of their murders. He needed to find the thread that connected them all. There had to be a connection, something he was missing, a detail that would unravel the entire mystery. As he reread the case files, his eyes fell upon a small detail, a shared thread that he had overlooked before. It was a breakthrough, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. Each victim had, at some point, crossed paths with the same judge, a man known for his harsh sentencing, a man who had once sent Edward Crane to prison. This judge was the key. Crane wasn't the echo. He was a pawn in a much larger, more sinister game. There was another player in this deadly game, a puppet master pulling the strings. Riley had to uncover the true mastermind before it was too late. The realization hit Riley like a physical blow. He knew who the real Echo Killer was, Judge William Hawthorne, a man of the law, hiding in plain sight, using Crane as his instrument of vengeance. The white feather, a symbol of purity, twisted into a symbol of death. The arrest was swift, the evidence irrefutable. The city exhaled, a collective sigh of relief mixed with disbelief. Judge Hawthorne, the respected judge, the dispenser of justice, unmasked as a monster. As Hawthorne was led away, his eyes met Riley's, a chilling glint of defiance in their depths. Justice had been served, but it offered Riley little solace. The city may have been safe, but the scars of the Echo Killer's actions ran deep. Standing on the steps of the courthouse, the city lights blurring in the rain, Riley knew that some wounds never truly heal. He carried the weight of the city's darkness, the echoes of the past, a constant reminder of the fragility of peace, the thin veil that separated civilization from chaos.